Spoiler Sleepover is sponsored by Vegan Curious, a one-woman owned and operated bakery that's out of this world.
Vegan Curious offers baked goods so delicious even meat eaters from Mars won't know they are cruelty-free. Vegan Curious is based out of Kitchen Local in Amesbury, Mass.
For all inquiries and information, go to vegancuriouskitchen.com and follow Vegan Curious on Instagram and Facebook.
Greetings, ladies, gents, and our non-binary friends. Welcome to Spoiler Sleepover, part of the Nerdcast Network. Join your hosts, Jason, Michael, and Rob, as they bring you on a slash-tastic adventure through cinema. Now, enjoy the show. It will be a real scream of a time.
Episode has started. Welcome back, everybody. It's Spoiler Sleepover. My name is Jason Michael, and muted on the other end because he's been put in podcast timeout. Now he's unmuted.
I'm Rob, and I'm a menace to society.
Jesus Christ. Right before, so little backstory and kind of, it's going to be a segue. We're back talking about an old Universal monster movie today. But before we get into that, some what's been keeping us up at night. So kind of tying into mine, I'm not watching the new season of The Rookie. Not yet.
Not yet.
And Rob just brought up a possible spoiler that I muted him for the entire time. God damn you.
So I guess I'll jump into it because you just segued me into what's been keeping me up at night. So
I'll mute you again.
I'm not going to spoil anything, I promise. But like I mentioned
Snape
last
kills
week,
Dumbledore. I just ruined someone's day.
You probably did. There's probably somebody out there who has no fucking clue. They just started reading the books.
My sister still gets upset at that and goes, oh, and then she remembers Dobby.
No.
All right, your turn.
So like I mentioned last week, I've just been catching up on all the shows that were on hiatus because of the strike, and one of them is The Rookie, because The Rookie's back for another and its final season, which breaks my heart because the show's perfect.
What?
But, I think it's run its course, and that's fine. That's okay. All 3 episodes have been great. I've loved all of them. I'm amped for this entire season, but the first episode, the cold open for the first episode is Chef's Kiss. It's so good.
We love kissing chefs.
So, I know my fiance does. So, hey-o. Well, chef singular. She better not be out there kissing other chefs.
Go to the restaurant. No, you're not.
No, the hell you are. Get out of here. So I've been just catching up on my shows. Honestly, that's about it. I started watching, I didn't even know, but apparently Kitchen Nightmares came back last year. I had no clue.
Wow.
Yeah. Gordon Ramsay decided to try and save restaurants after COVID, and because of like everything that COVID did to the restaurant industry, he was like, you know what? I'm gonna come back and try and help. And
that's
so
awesome.
I started. Yeah, it's good. Started watching the first episode, and it's the same old Kitchen Nightmares. Nothing's changed. So I was just like, oh, this is good. Other than that, it was Catfish is back. So I've been catching up with some Catfish because I love that trash. It's good stuff.
Were you a fan of Jerry
that's
Springer?
about it. God, no, I never was.
Okay.
I'm not a fan of like that sort of like scripted drama, because that's really what it is. It's scripted drama. Catfish is real. So I dig it. Also, it's 2024, so it still blows my mind that people are like, I've been texting with this person for 2 years, but I've never met him, and I've sent him $10,000. And you're like, it's 2024. How fucking stupid are you? No,
Apparently
it's a scam. If they haven't jumped on a video chat with you, then they're not real. And hey, guess what? I feel like this is the 4th week in a row, peek behind the curtain while we're recording. I don't even know if Jason Michael's real because his camera's not working. So
it's true.
I can't see him, but I can hear him.
I'm actually AI generated right now.
I'm being catfished by my co-host.
It's true. I shaved everything off.
Oh my.
Yeah, let your mind wander with that because you can't see shit now, can ya?
What's funny is I'm thinking about taking the beard off.
Bullshit.
Dude, it's grown. You can see it's grown.
It definitely has.
Yeah.
You going back to chin?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, still having like hair, but like down to face level, but not skin showing.
Nah, just cut it all off. That'll keep me up at night.
No, God, yeah, no. No. I don't look good without facial hair. I look real weird. I don't know. Today, I feel like I'm having a good facial hair day, so I may go back on my decision and just keep it.
All you need is one of those days.
Yeah, it's just one of those days when you don't want to shave it off. That was enough of that, Limp Bizkit. What's been keeping you up at night, Jason Michael?
Fred Durst has been haunting my dreams. It's actually quite terrifying. Anyway.
I love Fred Durst. John Otto?
I don't know much Limp Bizkit. All I know is they did a song with Korn, and that was one of their least favorite songs they've ever made, just because it has not aged well.
Yeah, All in the Family.
Yep. It's such a weird song. But anyway, what's been keeping me up at night? I actually have... There's been a lot
little
of
reference for Chachi, by the way. That's a Chachi thing for you. There you go, Chachi. You got added into the episode. He loves corn. Continue. I apologize.
Hell yeah, Chachi, you and I are going to be great friends. We, as in me, have been watching some shows that I have put down for a little bit. Not because they're bad or I didn't want to watch them anymore, but I just stopped, put on something else, and then completely forgot to go back to. I am still working my way through season 2 of Reacher. Any of the YouTube clips or Instagram reels that pop up with Reacher, even if I know it's from the first season by watching it, I just swipe it away because I don't want to spoil anything for season 2. Because, like, who knows? It might all of a sudden ruin one of the biggest things. So
yeah.
That's why also anything for the Rookie that pops up, I scroll right past that shit as well. Even if it is like Cop Cutie or any like
Cop Cutie.
Yeah, cute and on duty. Anyway. Yeah, not so many other things besides that. We've been streaming a little bit. We played some more zombies, of course, and then we played Phasmophobia the other night with Mr. Cyrene, or Goxara now, whichever name he chooses to go by on whichever day. But yeah, that's what's been keeping me up at night. But let us know what's been keeping you up at night, and we will be chatting about any of your shows that you recommend or any movies, things like that.
Jason Michael.
Hi.
Hi. So I have a little Creeping It Reel. And my Creeping It Reel is going to tie directly into my earworm. So I'm going to just do like a straight through, but we're going to talk about this Creeping It Reel because it's interesting.
I hope it's better than last week.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Fucking promise
this time. Well, maybe. I don't know. Maybe you'll hate this, but I thought it was hilarious and weird. So I posted it in our story, and then I found out there's a connection. So there's a movie coming out. It's still being worked on right now. There's the actor portion of the movie has been shot, but there's more that needs to be done. There's a movie coming out in the realm and vein of Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey, and all of these other movies that are being made in that. Anyways, the movie's called Vampire.
Yep, that's where I thought you were going with this.
It is a vampire Bambi movie. It has been described as a comedy horror, but it's in the sense of Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Oh.
So, meaning the vampire is animated with live actors. I'm here for it. Look it up. There's an Indiegogo that exists right now. You can donate to try and help them get the animation portion of this movie finished, because it's in the works right now. They're working on it currently to try and get these parts done.
Is this replacing the other Bambi horror movie that's coming out? Because I think it's like Bambi Resurrection or something.
Nope. There's another one. There's a different one. It's Bambi Reckoning.
Reckoning. Thank you. Is the other one Pinocchio or Cinderella? No, it's Peter Pan, I think.
Yeah, there's a Peter Pan one coming out. There were talks of a Pinocchio one, which I'm here for. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know how you're going to go about doing it. It's live action from what I've heard, and I think Pinocchio, the right way to make a Pinocchio horror film is at the end of the movie, we find out it's Geppetto the whole time. It's the only way you can go about doing it. But yeah. Anyways, Vampire. Go find the Indiegogo, donate. Let's make this happen. It's ridiculous. I'm amped for it. I'm down to watch an animated vampire deer kill live actors. Why not? But that's it. But that leads into my earworm. Now, I saw this posted about Vampire on Instagram randomly, and I was like, this is ridiculous, and I'm here for it because I love this sort of shit. I was doing my weekly listen to another wonderful horror podcast that does similar stuff to what we do, Horror Movie Night. So Horror Movie Night, their latest episode was on Leprechaun 2, and they had a guest co-host on, which they don't do like almost ever, but it happened to be the guy who wrote and directed Vampire. So they know this dude, and I was just like, oh, what a small world this horror podcast community is. But yeah, so my earworm is, people, go out. I'm glad you listened to us. Keep listening to us. But if you haven't listened to Horror Movie Night yet, you're missing out. I've mentioned them multiple times here since season 1, including wearing 1 or 2 of their shirts on live streams. But yeah, go check out Horror Movie Night. I just wanted to give them a shout out. I listened to the latest episode. I wasn't like, I'm going to go back and listen to all 350 episodes. They have a lot of episodes. I listen to them every week when they drop a new episode. So nice. That was my earworm. What squiggly things popping out of your ear today?
I, of course, have been catching up with all my podcasts that I've been missing while I was away on holiday. But a lot of the, as of right now, the Rooster Teeth podcasts that are, falling out because Rooster Teeth is no longer a company. It's kind of sad, but it's also to the point where it's funny because they're at the point where they don't care what the fuck happens because what are they going to do? Get fired? So one of the podcasts, I mean, we can't really get bleeped, but it's called Fuckface. It's got Jeff, Gavin, Andrew Panton, and that whole lot. So great podcast. They bleep the name. I don't know what's going to happen to us, but we'll be okay. Other than that, Bernie Burns' podcast of Morning Somewhere. Yep, that's what I've been doing. I've been catching up to all my old podcasts and podcasts that are phasing their way out. So that has been our squiggly little earworms. I really got to get them out of my ears. They just keep showing up every week.
Every fucking week, man.
God
We're catching them from somewhere.
Now I'm worried. I've got worms.
By the way, did you see my headband?
I did, and I just accidentally grabbed my Creature from the Black Lagoon notes.
Nice. Junk bands is the tits, dude. Yeah, I know.
I got all of them. Well, at least in the first round of them, because it was like more cartoony like that one, and then all of a sudden they came back with a bit more detailed with like a foreground and a background. It wasn't just presenting the monster. Yeah, I will say that second round looked pretty cool though for some of them. Like the Wolfman's was pretty cool. But Rob, that is a
in your
Jesus.
Pocket, are you just happy to see me?
Not anymore. Rob, that's a goddamn you.
On duty.
I'm gonna mute you. I'll swear to God.
I'm sorry. I'll stop. I promise.
Yeah. Rob, I do like the headband that you're wearing. You got a Creature from the Black Lagoon headband on right there, which is funny enough. Last week's episode, and as previously advertised, we're staying within the realm of the Universal Monsters. We're moving back to 1931 for Dracula. I also realized while editing last week's episode, to anybody that might be excited, I said we're recording Dracula with Bela Lugosi, and it sounded like we're recording with Bela Lugosi. Unfortunately, he's not here in studio. He couldn't make it. He had prior engagements.
Actually, I summoned his spirit. Here he is.
Blee!
That was a terrible impression.
Thank you.
I love it. Blah. You sounded like Count Blah from Greg the Bunny. Did I just date myself?
You're old.
Have you ever seen that show?
I've heard of it. I've never seen anything of it.
You're missing out, man.
Fuck.
There's like 2 people out there that got that joke, and then there's a bunch of people going, what the hell is Greg the Bunny? and now everyone's going to go look for it.
They're sitting in their rocking chair and they went,
"What? I get it. Blah. Oh, my heart. Who pooped my pants?"
But anyway, 1931's Dracula. We are moving on into the actual movie. We see the title card with the nice little Swan Lake entrance, which is very peaceful, and it always makes me think of this movie, minus the fact that I had seen it more when my sister was younger. She watched Barbie's Swan Lake a lot. So that song was playing constantly through that movie. So I would always hear Swan Lake. I was like, Dracula! Oh, it's Barbie. Fuck. But it's
two different types of horror.
It is a powerful performance from Bela Lugosi, who him and Edward Van Sloan actually played Dracula and Van Helsing on stage. I believe it was Broadway, or if it wasn't, it was just on stage. And they're both back in this movie, and Edward Van Sloan comes back in the direct sequel to this, which is Dracula's Daughter. We start with a carriage going up the Borgo Pass. We're seeing wonderful backing shots and wonderful environmental shots, and all of this, I keep forgetting, is just in the Universal backlot. Like, all these mountains and caves, a lot of them are just paint and just displays and boards, and then there's actual, environment in the Universal backlot just in California. But it looks incredible. We pull into a little tiny village of, the classic thing of stranger in a strange land, and everybody who's, normal there is just staring at them like, what are you doing here? We're seeing eyes and people just looking out the windows at the carriage as it rolls up. And we have Dwight Fry, who is insisting his bags stay on the carriage because he's being brought to Borgo Pass tonight because he's supposed to meet the carriage of Count Dracula. This is one of my favorite interactions of Dwight Fry as Renfield, and then just the random guy. It was like, whose carriage are you getting? He's like, the coach of Count Dracula. Count Dracula? Castle Dracula? Yes. To the castle. Yes. No. It's like, okay, thank you, sir. We could have ended that conversation about 5 minutes ago.
I have in my notes during that scene, everything leading up to that, like that entire sequence up to the point where he gets in the cart and goes on his way. My notes, I just put how amazing the cuts and framing were for all of those shots. Like,
yeah,
especially for the year that this movie was made. Like, there's fucking track shots. I was just like, what is happening right now? This is insane how beautifully shot this movie is. I was really amazed at the way everything was shot. It's gorgeous. It's very well done.
It's a very, very well shot movie, yeah. So the carriage,
the only compliment this movie gets, by the way.
Jesus.
Yeah.
So Renfield is given...
upset you.
Oh, no. Renfield's given a rosary, and he is then brought all the way up to Borgo Pass at midnight, where there is now a carriage waiting. But before this, we get to see the opening of a coffin with a little bug coffin, too. It's kind of adorable. We see Dracula then all of a sudden standing outside because it's the mystique of we don't want to see Dracula actually standing up out of his coffin. We see Dracula standing, and it zooms in on his face, and then he walks up the stairs to the wolf howls. So we see now the driver of the carriage. We know it's Dracula. We know it's Bela Lugosi, but it's meant to be possibly someone else. So the carriage drops off Renfield and basically throws him out, throws his bags, and says, let's get the fuck out of here, and books it away. Renfield goes up, and the eyes are so prominent throughout this entire movie. Dracula does not blink throughout this entire film, and it's to help with that performance and make you feel uneasy and dead, soulless, powerful look that Bela Lugosi has.
I have very few notes
Renfield
for this movie.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
But Renfield gets dropped off, quote unquote. Their driver's missing, and so are his bags. So he's confused as hell, which I thought was hilarious. But when we're downstairs or in the basement or whatever, we get all these cuts to like a possum and some bugs and some rats and shit. And then Renfield enters on the main floor, and there's fucking armadillos.
Yep.
What? That literally is a note. There's nothing beyond. My note says armadillos? ? Like that was it. I was just like, why the fuck are there armadillos? Like, what is happening right now? This is so random.
I have armadillos ? Exclamation point. As
Like
in
mines.
armadillos?
I was more just confused, not excited. I was like, that's random as fuck.
Oh no,
sir.
I completely don't get it at all. It's really funny though, and we do see like armadillos back in like Monster Squad and things like that, which is really funny. Yeah. But I completely agree of just why are there armadillos? We'll never know. On the way up, Renfield is like freaking out because this carriage is being held together by hope and like duct tape. It is so rickety, it sounds horrendous, and it's just flying down the Borgo Pass, and he pokes his head out like, hey driver, what the hell, slow down. And it's just a bat flying there, and he freaks out and goes back into the carriage. Pulls up outside the castle, no driver, no bags. Renfield gets up to the door, which opens on its own. Love it. If there aren't enough red flags yet, Renfield, Jesus Christ. He goes in, and we hear the wolves, we see the armadillos, and then we get this awesome, iconic shot. We see Dracula walking down the stairs, Renfield's still looking around, and we see 3 bats that are flying outside, which we know to be his wives, because we saw them earlier as well. And Renfield turns around and sees Dracula walking down the stairs at him, and he freezes and stares, and we get Bela Lugosi going, I am Dracula. And he goes, oh, cool, sick, fantastic, I'm so happy to see you. And he goes, I bid you welcome. And he starts talking to him, and he's like, come with me, we're going upstairs. They start walking, and my personal favorite line of this entire movie is when we hear the wolf. I think you probably have the same exact thing. Listen to them, children of the night. What music they make. What a and he's in such a power stance, dude. Like, just, my camera isn't working, but this is guaranteed a perfect 1-to-1 recreation of the pose, I promise. So Dracula keeps going up the stairs, and there's a giant spiderweb wall, pretty much. Renfield looks up, and we don't see it, but all of a sudden Dracula's on the other side. So basically, Renfield just watched Dracula walk through a wall of spiderwebs. And it's really funny when he turns around, and Renfield just knocks a hole, or tries to knock a hole in the spiderweb, and walks fucking straight through it. Like, he makes a hole that he could step over and through, but he just walks straight through the spiderweb. Like, what was the fucking point, Renfield?
Yeah.
We get upstairs into Renfield's bedroom, the guest bedroom. He's like, I'm still worried about my bags. He goes, don't worry about it. I've had your bags brought up. Everything's okay. Hey, let's start talking about the property that you are going to lease me. And he goes, yes, the property of Carfax Abbey. Now, I haven't posted them yet, but I'm going to talk a lot about Whitby in this episode because goddamn, it's also, where a lot of it takes place. And the Abbey at the top of the 199 steps in Whitby is totally where like all of this was based on, because this is looking at the picture, it is very Dracula-esque. Even in the daytime with the sun going down, it's still very horrifying. But he starts talking about leasing Carfax Abbey. He goes, all the papers are drawn up right here. Any luggage? I'm bringing 3 boxes. Just okay, good vague description there, Dracula. So I don't know how this happened still. I don't think I've ever done it. I thought it was a paper cut at first, but Renfield sticks himself with a paperclip and starts bleeding. And he goes, it's just a cut from that paperclip. How the fuck did you cut yourself with a paperclip?
Dude, it's 1931. They were made different back then.
Like razors?
Probably.
Because he's bleeding a decent amount. I'm pretty sure in the Spanish edition, he's bleeding way more.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. Dracula sees the blood, starts going in, and then the rosary crucifix falls in front of it. Dracula turns around like, god damn it. Renfield's like, don't worry, it's just a little blood from that paperclip. It's like, he's not worried about that. Don't you worry. So he cleans himself up. Dracula picks up the wine, and he's like, this is very old wine. And he just pours him some, and he goes, aren't you having a drink? I never drink wine. It's just an incredible performance from Bela Lugosi. He leaves him. Renfield takes a drink, starts feeling lightheaded, goes to the door to try and get some air. The brides are coming up, and a bat's at the door. Renfield faints, and the bat is Dracula, who basically says, brides, back off. He's mine. Don't you touch him. So after he, as we know, feeds on Renfield, Renfield is now Dracula's slave, his servant. So we're on a boat because Dracula has chartered a ship to get them to London and start where they can get to Whitby from there. So Renfield is downstairs. This is old B footage of a boat from an old movie. I can't remember the name of it, but I'll find it and we'll post it for you guys to find out, as well as in the new multimedia video on YouTube, which I hope you're watching / listening to right now. Anyway, Renfield wakes him up, and then Dracula is standing in a turtleneck and cape. Basically, Renfield's like, hey, I'm doing what you're telling me. Can you promise me that I'll have, blood when we get to London? Like spiders and flies. I don't actually want to hurt somebody, but I'll take a little bit of blood. And Dracula just silently turns around, walks upstairs. And this, if you know the backstory of Dracula, there is a old Russian vessel that drifted into the harbor in Whitby. That is where Bram Stoker saw the boat and got the idea to write the story Dracula. And I saw the harbor where the boat pulled in and crashed. That would be the boat, the Demeter. But in this movie, it is called the Vesta. I accidentally wrote an I next to that name.
Good job.
Thank you. So we get the shot of the Vesta in the morning where a bunch of people in Whitby are looking at it, and they see that the captain was tied to the steering wheel and is dead. And then we hear the infamous Renfield laugh, and we're like, what the fuck is that? Just the...
That is my final note that I have. I literally wrote 4 notes for this movie, and the fourth and final is about his laugh, which I was like, I wrote specifically his laugh on the boat, but as we go into the movie deeper, that's his fucking laugh. He does it throughout the movie, and every time he did it, I was just like, oh, that's supposed to be his crazy laugh. It is, it's uncomfortable to listen to.
It's very strained, and he's basically just exuding air from his throat while trying to make sound. It's like, I don't have much air left. Give it a noise. But I mean, it's definitely memorable. It's definitely iconic. I love it. So they find Renfield. He basically looks insane. And then there's a whole newspaper about it, which, again, I'm going to mention Whitby a lot because your boy's a traveling bitch now. Went to Whitby unknowing of any of the Dracula connection originally. Now watching this and seeing and hearing everything about Whitby in this movie was pretty cool to me. Like the newspaper article about the Vesta crashed in Whitby. And I was like, oh, fuck. Why didn't they just call it the Demeter? But also, oh, fuck, that's cool. So we find out that Dracula is now in London, which I'm pretty sure is the sign or the picture that we see with London in front of it. I'm pretty sure that's Trafalgar Square. It looks like a giant statue in the middle and then a lion statue off to the side. And there's 4 lions around that giant pillar in the middle. So in my headcanon, I'm saying it's Trafalgar Square. I can never pronounce that right. I swear. There's a girl selling flowers in London on the street, Trafalgar Square, and Dracula comes up in his best Carfax Abbey attire, as the NECA figure puts it, with his cane and his gloves and his top hat. Go on.
No, I've got nothing, man. I mean, I guess at this point is my opportunity to be. The opening of this movie is great. Like you're introduced to all of your players at the start before we meet Van Helsing, but we're introduced to our players, and it's great. It's an amazing setup, and you're like, all right, we're getting to know these people a little bit. And then from this point forward, it's just what's happening. It jumps from one location to another, and we're given no information as to what the fuck is happening.
I'm also going to completely throw you with some geography in a minute.
That's fine, but I'm going to be honest. I used to think that The Mummy, as entertaining as it is, was my least favorite Universal Monsters movie.
Damn.
I stand corrected. I was bored watching this. Like, painfully bored. I was just like, all right.
Fun thing is, The Mummy is literally just Egyptian Dracula, though.
Yeah, and it's still more entertaining than this was for me. But you're going to make this make sense. You're going to explain this movie more so that there is context, so that there is some form of storyline that connects, because you know Universal Monsters better than anyone I've ever met in my life. So I know you'll make it make sense, and I'll find an appreciation in conversation for the movie. I honestly can say I don't think I'll ever watch Dracula again. I was in my 20s the last time I watched it, early 20s. And so it's been over 10 years since I've watched this. And I'm pretty sure it was my last watch. I was like, wow, this is fucking boring me right now. It's like, what is happening? Why is he attacking this random woman for no reason? And they were just like, hey, guess what? We're at the opera. And I was just like, what happened? What is fucking going on right now? It was just so much confusion. And that's rant over.
No pressure, Jason. No pressure. So Dracula feeds because he needs to sustain his energy. He decides to feed on this random little girl that everybody's just walking past and not paying any attention to at all. And then she screams. We hear the whistle of the inspector, the cop, whatever. We never see him. Well, we see him once as he's standing by the body, but then we never see anything else. Dracula's just strolling down the street and walks into the opera and then quickly hypnotizes one of the little staff girls. There's a name for them, but I can't remember it. And basically says, you have to follow my orders, now go. Then opens the curtain to where we find 4 people. We find Dr. Seward, we find Jonathan Harker, we find Mina, and we find Lucy, which it's an odd cast of characters, I will give it that. So Seward gets up because the woman who Dracula hypnotized says there's a phone call, which if there was a phone call, great. If not, it was probably just a brief moment to introduce Dracula. And, Seward's going to come back going, nobody was on the phone. They must have hung up. But we never see that part. They say, Dr. Seward, there's a phone call. And then Dracula comes up, goes, pardon me. I heard your name's Dr. Seward. Perchance, are you the Dr. Seward whose sanatorium is in Whitby? And I was like, oh shit, Whitby. And I was like, okay, I see the connection here. My brain remembering what Whitby looked like. I don't know where the sanatorium could have been. But again, things can be loosely based off of it because Carfax Abbey is joining the grounds of the Seward Sanatorium. Maybe the building out in front. Maybe. If not, it's also a movie, Jason. Dracula introduces himself saying, I'm leasing Carfax Abbey. Wanted to get to introduce myself to you. So we meet Jonathan Harker, played by David Mannering, who is a bitch. We meet Mina and we meet Lucy. And Dracula just starts talking about, I'm from Transylvania. And the Carfax Abbey reminds me of the broken battlements. And Lucy is just enthralled and is so taken with Count Dracula. And he's supposed to be suave. He's supposed to be attractive. I know we talked about it last week and you didn't entirely see it with the creature, understandably. But again, this was pretty sure it was Ray Bradbury. This is a very sexy movie for 1931 to certain aspects.
Yeah.
Or Ray Bradbury's just a freak.
Both.
Yes. They're hoping he's going to do repairs and better the Abbey and what it looks like. And Dracula's like, nah, dude, I'm not going to do shit. I love how it looks. And me too. Seeing it in person was incredible and honestly breathtaking, let alone the 199 stairs getting up to it. Physical activity. So Lucy is, again, enthralled. And she's like, there's something about, the darkness and the death and all of it. And Mina and Jonathan are like, whoa, easy there, Lucy. Sounding a little weird. And Dracula goes, dead. To be truly dead. That sounds glorious. And it's like, oh, okay. You two can get a room. We're good. We don't need to worry about it. Then the performance continues. We get a cutaway to Lucy and Mina in the same room, still in London. And they are talking about Dracula. It's like making fun of him and mocking him. And Dracula's just outside. And one of the cops that's standing on the corner just goes, oh, the fog seemed to be clearing up, sir. And Dracula just walks past silently like, shut up. I don't care about you. So Dracula is staring out the window at Lucy and just flies up in a bat, transforms into Dracula as she falls asleep, and slowly gets up close. And we get a real unflattering shot of Dracula's face just going, ugh, as he goes in to bite Lucy. Very quickly after that, we find out Lucy is dead because we cut to an examining room, a public operating room, where doctors can operate and have procedures, and there's either other doctors or students that are sitting in like a giant amphitheater area watching the procedure. So we cut to that. We find out there's 2 little pinhole like marks in her neck, and she's basically been drained of blood. We then meet Dr. Van Helsing, who is explaining this to Dr. Seward, being like, this is why Lucy is dead. She was drained of her blood from these pinholes in her neck. Nosferatu. It's like, what? Yes, a vampire. We find out very quickly because Van Helsing is very well versed in all of this, which Dracula and Renfield both know his name and are very impressed with him, if I may say. We get a little bit of exposition with that. Before this, we actually got the look at the sanatorium gates, and we hear screaming, and there's people that are at the sanatorium. They are also laughing, just going, oh, someone's after his flies again. Martin, our orderly, is picking up a spider that Renfield wants to eat and just throws it out. And he goes, why you want to eat spiders anyway? And he goes, spiders? Who wants to eat spiders? Or no, flies? Who wants to eat flies? You do, you loony. Because last week it was flies. This week it's spiders that Renfield has moved on to. So
protein, man. There's more protein in spiders than there is in flies. And that is a true fact.
Wikipedia that.
Insert the More You Know song right there.
So we get so as Van Helsing is describing the vampire, we get Renfield brought in, and he introduces himself, and Seward is like, oh, you're looking a lot better than yesterday. He goes, thanks, I'm feeling a lot better. And Van Helsing's getting a little up close and way too close to him. And he's looking at his hand, and Renfield basically just slaps his hand. He's like, keep your filthy hands to yourself. Starts showing that he's crazy. Van Helsing already suspects something, and Van Helsing pulls out Wolfbane on Renfield, and he basically threatens him. He goes, you know too much to live, Van Helsing. It's like, oh, yeah. If you weren't in a sanatorium with that remark, you probably would be.
Right.
We're at the sanatorium in Whitby, and again, we hear a wolf howl. Dracula awakes. We don't see him step out of the coffin. So he's at Carfax Abbey, right next door. And again, to put like geography into perspective here, right outside of where the Abbey is in Carfax is just the moors. So I know a lot of wolf movies have the moors. It's just giant open fields and swamps and rolling hills, things like that. It seems like it goes on forever. American Werewolf in London starts in the moors. It's something like that, to put it into mind and perspective here. But again, yeah, like that wolf could be in the moors. It could also be up on the hill. I don't think it's Dracula waking up and turning into his wolf form, but who knows? Dracula wakes up, and after the threat of Wolfbane and you know too much to live, Van Helsing, Renfield is brought back to his cell, and we hear a wolf howl from outside. It's Dracula standing there, again, talking telepathically with Renfield, and we find that Mina has left her window open, and Dracula, of course, gets in and then goes in to bite Mina. And the next day, she's recounting a nightmare she had to Jonathan Harker, her fiance, and is just like, there was this face in the dream, and he just kept coming closer and closer, and then he reached out, and I could feel his breath, and Seward and Van Helsing are walking down the stairs like, that sounds very sketchy. Huh. So they go in, and Van Helsing is like, Mina, can you tell me more about this, please? And she explains a little more. Jonathan Harker is just a bitch this whole movie. And same in The Mummy, he's a bitch. He's just whiny as all hell. He's like, why are you asking her about this? It's scaring her. God! And just walks away and lights a cigarette. It's like, dude, shut the fuck up. Van Helsing sees that Mina is wearing a scarf, and he goes, you said that the face got close to your throat. She goes, yeah. He's like, is there anything the matter? And she goes, no. And he goes, no, permit me. And just looks at her neck. And we get a picture of Seward and Harker off to the side and goes, how long have you had those 2 little marks? And Harker goes, marks? Runs up and just starts going, Mina, why didn't you tell us? It's like, dude, she is clearly in distress. You are not helping, sir.
Take a breath.
So Van Helsing now knows what's up. And I love this little comedic timing moment of Harker just going, what could have caused them, Professor? And then immediately one of the housemaids, if you will, basically just goes, Count Dracula. As soon as that question ends, it's like, yeah, he did do that.
Yep.
Basically introducing Count Dracula into the room. He leased Carfax Abbey, so he's coming over to introduce himself and say hi again. And then immediately goes straight up to Mina and starts talking to her. And Seward is like, she's going to bed, but here, Count Dracula, this is Professor Van Helsing. And he bows, and then Edward Van Sloan quickly goes, meh, meh, and like very quickly jerks his body forward to bow. And he goes, Professor Van Helsing, a name that is known even in my dark realms of Transylvania, or something along those lines. Basically saying, you are very well known everywhere, sir. Basically giving him the respect and props he deserves. Mina's being sent to bed. Harker's over by the cigarette case, which has a mirror in it. And it's Seward, Dracula, and Mina talking in a triangle. And Van Helsing sees there's no reflection from Count Dracula. And he's watching it. And he's watching it. And then Mina continues to talk to Dracula by the stairs. And Van Helsing is like, okay, good to know. Good information. So he picks up the cigarette box. And Dracula's about to leave. And he's like, one moment. Come here for a second. I was just standing here real curious for a second because I was looking at this box and noticed something. And I want you to be able to help me to understand this here so I know it's not just a trick with my own eyes. And he goes, look, opens the box, and as soon as he opens it, Dracula slaps it out of his hand and stands back like, you son of a bitch. And the face that Edward Van Sloan has is just, gotcha, bitch. Because he fucking knows. And then Dracula looks at Seward and goes, pardon me, Dr. Seward, I have an extreme distaste for mirrors. Professor Van Helsing will tell you why. And starts walking away. Again, powerful words and like lines in this movie of, for one who has not even lived but a single lifetime, you are a wise man, Van Helsing. And he walks out the window. And John is like, well, that was fucking weird. So he runs out to go see, and he sees a wolf running across, or a big dog, as he says.
Big dog. Yeah.
And then Van Helsing goes, or maybe a wolf. Seward's like, a wolf? Why would there be a wolf in this part of Whitby? As the legend goes, Dracula and the vampires can turn into bats, but they can also turn into wolves. More specifically for Dracula, a big, long, gray-haired wolf with beady red eyes called the Barghest Hound. Which, it's like, oh, dude, it is a big, gangly-looking motherfucker, too. The wolf is running away, and Van Helsing basically starts getting prepared. He's like, we got to lock this house down. There's nothing we should do but except for get prepared. And Renfield's laugh, of course, comes in to give more exposition. We find out, of course, that there's been boxes brought to Carfax Abbey with, his native soil. That's the only thing that'd be keeping him here instead of all the way out in Transylvania. That's got to be the only reason why he's here and why he's still alive. Renfield comes in and starts shutting down any possible rumor that he knows Dracula. He's like, Dracula? I've never heard the name before. Basically, like, I don't know anything about him. And then there's a bat that shows up back in the window, and Renfield's like, I didn't say shit. Don't worry about it. I said nothing to the master. It's like, oh, well, that's a little bit more sketchy. Cut to a scene of a cop riding up on a bicycle to a child crying, and he goes up to investigate, and we see a woman in white who turns out to be Lucy. As the tale goes, Lucy was bitten and eventually becomes another one of the brides because she is just underneath Dracula's curse and is the woman in white, which Martin's reading a newspaper about her the very next day, basically saying the woman in white is luring children into the woods with promises of treats and chocolates, and then proceeds to bite them on the neck and disappears into the night. What the fuck?
Not cool, man.
No. So Van Helsing questions Mina about the woman in white. Harker disrupts everything, of course, as he does. Mina was saying, I recognized who she is. It's Lucy. But then I remember, oh, Lucy's dead. God damn it. So it can't be her. Mina breaks up with John because, John's being a bitch.
Drama queen.
He basically is like trying to comfort her, but is just so horrible. He is not helping in any way, shape, or form. And he's like, I'm going to take her away. We're going to move somewhere, and I'm going to get you safe. It's like, we're going now. She's like, I'm in fucking distress, bro. I don't want to go anywhere with you. The maids start finding. Mina goes outside, and we see that Dracula's waiting outside, and he starts to walk away with her. And then we hear a scream, and it's one of the maids outside who's found Mina, just, in the middle of the field. And so Van Helsing, Stewart, and Harker run out, grab her, and it's like, it's a wonder she's still alive. Yes, but now she's in even greater danger, because now Dracula knows, like, they all know, and Dracula is like, she's going to be mine. No matter what you do, she's going to be mine. And he steps out from behind a tree. Mina was again recounting everything about Lucy being dead. And John, again, is just horrible. Van Helsing shuts him down after Mina breaks up with him. And he's just so emasculated. And he's like, well, why are you just filling her head with all these fearful things? And Van Helsing goes, the thing you should fear is that, and points out to the sunset, going, the last few rays of the day's sun. That's what you need to be afraid of right now. So, of course, sunset, Dracula wakes up and comes out. Van Helsing again is explaining the earth boxes that Dracula has brought and saying, we need to find these. We get the laugh, and Renfield has been listening. He actually, while in the room earlier in the bat and the maid that found Mina, he starts doing the laugh again and makes her faint or pass out. Maybe he's got the whole mind thing and everything. And he crawls up to her as if to bite her, but we never see anything past that. Maybe he did. Again, I know he was about spiders and flies. Maybe he got the taste for it. We don't know. But Van Helsing needs to find his resting place. And Martin comes to get Renfield because Renfield just snuck into the room and Martin had no idea. And Renfield admits that Dracula promised him things, he wanted rents, thousands, millions. All of this I will give to you if you only obey. And just Dracula, of course, shows up and is pissed off. Like, you motherfucker. He shows up in bat form, which scares Renfield. And Martin is about to take him away. And he goes, he's even got me believing it. All those metal bars out front are bent. And then Van Helsing goes, Dracula's in the house. And everyone goes, in the house? Everybody leaves except for Van Helsing because he's about to leave. And of course, Dracula just shows up in the doorway and goes, Van Helsing, basically squaring off with him. Dracula tries to put him under his spell by doing the whole, wait, come to me, look into my eyes, that whole thing. Van Helsing basically threatened to tear down Carfax Abbey brick by brick and find your earth box and plunge the stake into his heart himself. So Dracula is trying to put Van Helsing under his spell. Van Helsing is backing up like, no. You almost got me, but no. So he goes, your will is strong, Van Helsing. Basically shuts his shit down. So Dracula starts getting closer. Van Helsing reaches into his pocket and he goes, more Wolfbane? Because that's all Van Helsing has been putting on the doors and windows to keep Dracula away. And he goes, something more powerful than Wolfbane, Count. Dracula goes, indeed, and goes up to get him. And Van Helsing pulls out a crucifix, which makes him freeze, go, oh, and turn around and flee.
Whoopsies.
Yeah. So Van Helsing goes upstairs and we find out that Van Helsing's not upstairs yet, but Harker's upstairs. Mina's out on like the terrace and the maid's trying to get her inside, be like, fucking get the fuck inside. You were told to stay in. Stop it. She goes, no, don't worry about it. Take that wolfsbane off the door. It's okay. It's so stuffy in here anyway. And she calls to Harker and is basically a changed woman since the last time he saw her. He goes, you seem so much better. She goes, I love you, John. Let's go away someplace. And as he turns and starts giving the whole, you see the stars up there? I could give you the stars. I'll tie a lasso around the moon, bring it down for you. And she's staring at his neck like hearing the fucking Charlie Brown adult voice while he's talking, just womp, 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 womp. And she's like, I'm going to bite that neck. So she sits down and starts trying to explain, we can leave right now to Harker. And she goes, look into my eyes, and tries to trick him while Stewart and Van Helsing show up. And he goes, Mina, what are you doing? You're looking at me so strangely. Mina, no. So Van Helsing runs in and shows her the crucifix, which Harker then goes, stop it, can't you see you're upsetting her? And pushes Van Helsing away. And Mina's like, we just have to leave. He's so horrible. Looks down because Harker took the crucifix away and it's still in his hand. And she sees it and freaks out. And he goes, oh, shit, Van Helsing's right. Fuck.
Yeah.
Dracula now, there's a gunshot outside, and Martin's out there, and he goes, "It's that big gray bat again, sir." And Van Helsing goes, "Don't waste your bullets. The bullets won't hurt that bat." And he goes, "They're all crazy. Each and every single one of them. Everyone's crazy except for me and you," talking to the other maid. And he goes, "And I even have me doubts about you." And she looks at him and goes, "Yeah." And he just grabs his rifle and backs up. Kind of reminds me of Jaffers from The Invisible Man, honestly.
Yeah, a little bit.
It's also all in that mustache. That mustache is a power move. So
A mustache is always a power move.
we find out through Mina that Dracula made her drink blood, I'm guessing. And Dracula then tricks the nurse through the window to let him in. And he takes Mina as Van Helsing and Harker go to the abbey next door. And they see Renfield walking the grounds. And they're like, what the hell is he doing in the abbey? Which they already know he has some sort of connection to Dracula. Why they're asking the question, I never will know. Renfield gets in, and Dracula's down there with Mina. And Renfield's like, Master, I'm here. And the giant staircase set, not the one from the beginning, but another one that's like a spiral and a giant pillar. And then all of a sudden, Harker shows up at the window, starts shouting for Mina. And Renfield's like, I that wasn't me. I didn't do it. I did not lead them here. And he starts turning around, and you hear Dracula go, wait! And then he walks down to Renfield, strangles him, and Renfield is presumably dead as he tumbles down the stairs and falls off to the side. It's a pretty, effective fall. It's pretty good.
It's also an extremely brutal scene. Like, for a movie that doesn't have a lot of brutality in it and doesn't depict a lot of anything actually happening in the movie, this scene, when I was watching, I was like, good grief.
Yeah, Renfield's pleading for his life, going, please don't. If I die now, I'll die with all that innocent blood on my hands. I can't do that to my soul. Yeah, and he's just like, yeah, fuck you, buddy.
How about eat a bag of dicks?
All while this is happening, Harker and Van Helsing are like slamming on the door trying to get in to the weirdest run I have ever possibly seen next to Tom Cruise. Is David Mannering full sprint with a lantern in his hand, looking like an action adventure, dragging a sword behind him, runs through the abbey at a slow sprint too, dude, because Bela Lugosi brings Mina into a door and slams it right in his face.
Yeah.
Like, oh, what the fuck? So they get the door open, and we get into like the basement, the catacombs, whatever you want to call it. And they split up. David Mannering goes right. Van Helsing goes left. And of course, they find the coffin. So Van Helsing calls him back over, and he goes, oh, he's here. But where's Mina? So Harker goes looking for Mina. Van Helsing breaks open the lid, makes a stake out of part of his coffin, and then finds like a crowbar or something, and drives the stake through his heart. And we don't see anything. We just hear the sound of, whoa, whoa. And we then cut to Mina, who's just, the curse is broken. She kind of snaps back into reality and screams. And then Edward Van Sloan stays down there, for the next movie. And David Mannering walks out, or whatever his name is. John Harker walks out with Mina, and they start walking back up the stairs, right past Renfield's body, by the way, to the sound of bells and presumably sunrise. And they're free, nothing else. Movie is done. And that is Dracula from 1931.
Boy, howdy is it ever.
So there's a couple things about this movie that make it more effective and more creepy to me. Again, the fact that Dracula doesn't blink. He does not blink at all. And you can't go wrong with Bela Lugosi's performance. No. He's only played Dracula twice, and yet he is the Dracula. He is the vampire voice that everybody does, even without. If you don't know who Bela Lugosi is, first off, you're wrong. Second off, if you were to do a vampire impression, that is what you would go for. You go for the I am Dracula. You'd go for that long, deep, drawn out, Transylvanian sounding voice. And it's all thanks to this man. Also, the lack of music in this movie. There's just a lot of ambient sound.
Yeah.
It was very effective.
Very odd choice, I thought, but it works.
Yeah, because for other Universal movies, either there's music like the Wolfman or the Creature. Hell, even in Frankenstein, there's a little bit of music, but a lot of it is also just like thunderstorm or electricity from machinery or the crowds in the village. There
Right.
is some music, but it's like this. There's the music in the opera, and that's pretty much it besides Swan Lake.
Right.
So
Yeah, there was because it had been so long since I'd seen the movie, I paused right around the halfway point, and I was just like, man, this is really quiet. Like,
yeah,
and I was just like, is the colorized version were they like, here's color, fuck your music? And I had to look into it, and I was like, no.
it's just a silent movie, pretty much.
It's so quiet, which, I mean, it works to a point. And my honest already complaint was just, I wish there was more connective tissue and not just so like, all right, we're going to cut from this random scene to another random scene, and then at the end we'll kind of piece it together.
That's fair.
That's really what the movie was just, here's a scene. All right, here's the next scene. None of this makes sense, right? And you're like, no, you're doing a terrible job at making a story happen. And at the end they were like, here's what happened. And you're like, oh, that would have been nice like 40 minutes ago. But yeah.
It's just an eerie movie. Yes, it has its issues. I would say it's still definitely a staple.
Without question.
Fun fact about this movie, it is a tradition for me because, Rob, do you know what day Dracula came out?
I have no idea, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be real important.
Dracula came out on Valentine's Day, 1931. So
wow.
Valentine's Day consists of not only, me loving my better half, but also Dracula.
And the movie Valentine's Day.
No.
Those movies are great. I don't give a fuck what anyone says. You're wrong. If you hate them, you're wrong.
I feel like even despite anything in this movie, I think without question, our bloody legend of the week will have to go to Bela Lugosi.
Yeah.
It's an icon, full stop. That is the Dracula, the vampire that everybody thinks about. Everybody is based off of, like, again, Uncanny Valley kind of look for Christopher Lee and for I can never remember his name, but the Dracula in Monster Squad. It's like everything of Dracula is, besides Gary Oldman, is based on Bela Lugosi. Again, the accent, everything. So without a doubt, the arthritic hands, the craggly eyes.
I'm going to touch you weirdly. Look at my limp fingers. I'm going to limp finger touch your face. You have soft skin.
Stop touching me. So I don't know actually what this is going to be, but Rob, how many out of 10, hopefully it's not any less than 0, but out of 10, how many very cheesy bats on strings would you give this movie out of 10?
You're going to hate it.
Okay, go on.
Literally going to be the lowest score that I will give any Universal monster original. Let me correct myself. Original Universal monster movie. It's getting 2.
Okay. Honestly, I was expecting 2.
Both of those points go directly to Bella. I mean, all right, no. 2.5, because that Renfield laugh needs half a point, because that is the fucking weirdest shit. The scene of him at the bottom of the stairs on the ship and him just standing there was actually fucking creepy. Like, it was like, I was this is uncomfortable to look at, and it doesn't cut. I was just like, go to the next shot. They were like,
go away.
Yeah. They were like, no, look at him. And I'm like, I am, and I don't want to be. Like, stop this now. So yeah, I'm going to give it 2.5. I really was very excited to rewatch this because it had been so long, and all of our conversations so far for the podcast, but also off of the podcast about the Universal monsters have been so exciting. I've really enjoyed revisiting some of these that I hadn't seen in a long time, but this was one, like going back to our winter month that we did all those, going back to something you hold fondly. like Jack Frost and
Best
Dracula.
movie ever.
I had such fond memories. Even as a kid, I was Dracula like 3 years in a row. Bela Lugosi's Dracula. I had the medallion and everything.
Fuck yeah, dude.
As a kid, I loved the movie. And coming back at 38 to rewatch it, after not seeing it for like maybe 13, 14 years, I was like, wow, this is not at all what I remembered it being. I was bored. Honestly, at the end of the day, I was fucking bored and I was confused. So it's unfortunate, but I can guarantee it's going to be the only one that gets not, 8 to 10 point, like on the scale.
That's fair.
That's enough of me. Jason Michael, what about you? How many bats on strings do you give Dracula from 1931?
So honestly, I'm this might sound shocking to you. I'm in a very similar boat to an extent.
Oh.
Is Dracula my favorite? No. Bela Lugosi, his performance, incredible. Iconic, all of that. Renfield, I only ever see him Dwight Frye, I usually only really see him as Renfield. Mm-hmm. Yes, he's Fritz. Yes, he's Carl. Yes, he's the uncredited reporter in The Invisible Man, so on and so forth. But it's eerie, it's groundbreaking for its time. It's a staple of the Universal monsters. I'm honestly going to give this movie a 8. Not a 10. Which is, still saying something. I love all the Universal monster movies. I would give all of them 10s, but again, Dracula and there's another one, but we'll talk about that soon, where it's just, if I had to search a go-to, it wouldn't be the one I would go to.
Right.
But I still love this movie. It's still one of my favorites. Again, it's my Valentine's Day tradition, and I wouldn't change that at all.
I also like to say I'm glad that what I'm going to consider my last watch of this movie ever was to actually see it colorized for the first time.
That's cool though.
If any of you suckers out there have never seen 1931's Dracula, first of all, don't take my low score or any of the complaints that either of us have had about it to heart. Go fucking watch it. Make up your own opinion on it. Like,
seriously.
We
don't be a sheep.
Yeah, we're all individuals. We all have our own feelings and emotions and thoughts about things. Make up your own mind, but 100% watch it. Now, if you've already seen it and you've only ever seen the black and white one, I highly suggest watching the colorized. I thought it was done very well. There are definitely moments where, somebody's talking and their hand moves in front of their blue jacket and the blue transfers onto their fingers. But they colorized it. I don't know. It was really cool to see a lot of color added to something that is generally dark. I really enjoyed it. I'm glad I got to see it colorized before I was like, never again. I'm okay. Thanks. So yeah, well, that was another one of Jason Michael's picks from his favorite, we're going to call it universe. Yeah. From his favorite universe. But before we jump into the end of this, Jason Michael, do you have anyone you want to thank this week?
Never.
Oh, okay. So I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
I wanted to see what you would do. I've been thinking about making that joke, but I didn't know. Of course.
I just go into mine.
Yeah. Of course, I would like to thank Rob. We'll start with you, of course, because I had no urge. This is coming out of left field. I had no urge to watch Voyage of the Demeter, at all, honestly.
Really?
Yeah, because the trailer looked real dumb to me, and it looked, just meh. Okay. When you explained it is a Dracula movie, and I was like, you know what? Okay. And then I watched Voyage of the Demeter, and now I can only think of that is exactly what Dracula did on that fucking vote, the Vesta. Not the Demeter, the Vesta coming to Whitby, and that is what fucking happened. It's incredible and terrifying. Also, the other bit of geography knowledge I was going to give you, from where I was staying in England, it was a 4.5-hour drive to get to Whitby. From London, it's a almost 5-hour drive to get to Whitby. So in 1931, how the fuck was anybody getting quickly from London to Whitby, let alone Dracula flying from Whitby to London as a little tiny bat? Must have found a jet stream or some shit. But either way, expanding my Dracula universe by suggesting, again, movies that I haven't seen, movies that I didn't want to give a chance to, and being able to talk about them. So thank you, sir. Very
Oh,
kind.
yeah, absolutely. I loved it. I thought it was really great. I'm actually going to give it a rewatch because the only time I've watched it was on an airplane, and that was a real small screen. So
yeah. We'll talk more about the Demeter maybe in another episode. Maybe in other universe vampire Dracula movies. Either way, moving on. Of course,
3. Just kidding.
To thank my better half again, massive part in this. Let alone the fact that you humor me on Valentine's Day and we watch a Dracula movie, but when we went to Whitby, all I want to do is go back. And she likes to say, wow, this is a really nice place. I think I should live here. And Whitby was one of those things where even her family was chiming in and going, this would be a really nice place to live. So the fact that I didn't even know we were going to go see basically the birthplace of Dracula almost, just adventuring that and her humoring me and my stupidity with that. But seeing just the bewilderment on my face and being like, okay, cool. You go excite your life here, Boo Boo. So thank you to
Boo-boo.
Zoe. Yeah. And that's who I got today, friendo. Who would you like to thank?
Well, per usual, I want to thank you. And here's the funny thing. I want to thank you for basically the same thing you just thanked me for. I'm a man of a certain age. A lot of my movies that I watch I generally go for comfort food. Things that I've watched, things before that I love, things within the same similar universes that I love. Other than that, I mean, when I'm watching a new movie, I seek out either the more brutal side of movies that I have never seen before or new ones, or I have a thing, man. One of my favorite genres of horror is found footage, and there's so many out there, especially indie found footage because they're cheap to make. So I seek those out a lot. I do not generally go and be like, you know what, I'm going to go watch a Universal monster unless it's the creature from Black Lagoon because he's the cat's pajamas. Love it.
Now I want to see him wearing pajamas.
I'm glad we decided to do our top 3 faves for season 2 because this is, in a sense, making me watch the lexicon of the OG Universal monster movies. And outside of this one, I've enjoyed all of this. It's great to go back and revisit things that I hadn't seen in a while because I've seen them all. It's just, I'm not one to go and revisit. Now, at this point, everything we've seen, I'm going to be watching The Invisible Man a lot more. I fucking love it. It's such an unhinged movie. But yeah, so thank you for doing that for me because it's been great to revisit these things. And my own curiosity watching colorized Dracula, I'm now going to go seek out all of the colorized OG Universals because I want to watch the creature green, man. I want to see that shit.
Green with his big red lips.
Oh my God, I fucking hope that's how they colorize it. It'll be amazing. But yeah, so thank you.
I
want to thank my wonderful, supportive, amazing, and beautiful fiance for allowing schedule change for record. We're recording on a different day than we normally have, and it's a new schedule, and this just works out a lot better for both of us. So I need to thank her for just constantly being an amazing support, not just to me, but to both of us for this. And a really random thank you. I want to thank my dad. I don't think I've ever thanked him on the podcast before, but I got a new office setup that I'm working with right now for record, and he helped me set up the desks today. So thanks, Dad. You're awesome. You didn't have to do that. You had a very busy schedule, and I appreciate your help. And then, as always, I mean, we got to fucking thank our amazing sponsor over at Vegan Curious. Anna, you're a rock star.
Still waiting on those stickers.
Yeah, we're waiting on a lot of things right now. Anna,
they don't even exist, but I want them.
I know you guys have heard the new ad. I just want you to know Vegan Curious is still Anna. It's just new branding. She has shifted to a new name and this dope fucking logo. Like, the logo is
Seriously.
awesome, but
Holographic stickers, just saying. Anna.
seriously. And oh my God, Anna, you got to get some enamel pins where the alien like moves up and down. That'd be fucking
Glow
great.
in the dark. Glow
Yes.
in the dark.
Everything's got to be glow in the dark. But all of that aside, Anna's in a transitional period when it comes down to her company. So when you hear in our ad, like, hey, for any questions or inquiries, go to these places. She's not taking orders right now that she's told us. So you're not able to order on the website, but she's doing so many different things every week. She's at different pop-ups. She's at different conventions. She's doing all of this. She has her baked goods in a set location, Cafe Killam. You can get Vegan Curious baked goods there. So if you can't wait and you're in the New England area, go to that cafe. It's Vegan Curious. So stick with it. Keep on Anna. Anna's got some awesome things rolling out in the next few months. So she's got a few months of transition that she's working on. I don't have all the details, but what I can tell you is that there's something big coming. So just keep an eye out. We're going to be getting our hands on some of her newer baked goods soon here. And we're going to do either a video or a live stream or both. So you guys can take a look at them close up and hear, two foodies enjoy some sweets and some delicious baked goods. So yeah, all of that long-windedness. Every time she posts anything on her story, I'm just like, come on, man. Like, just fucking everything in a box, send it to us. Like, I just want to eat all of it.
Or 2 boxes. I don't want to share.
Or 10 boxes. Just all of them. Send everything. Bake for 2 days straight and send us everything. But
we're only asking a lot of you.
Yeah, just everything. Just work really hard for us. No.
Thank you very much, Anna, though.
Yes. Thank you so much. You're a rock star. We really hope we're helping in any way, shape, or form we can to get you some foot traffic, some business, and people are reaching out to you. But yeah, thank you, Anna. You rock. And we look forward to seeing what you have in store. But seriously, send us some fucking stickers. But that being said,
Rob, next week's episode, we are actually getting out of the Universal universe, if you will, the Universal Earth, and heading back to one of your favorites. What's next week's episode?
Next week, I'm back at it again. We are jumping back in to the Child's Play universe because that is the happiest place in my brain, and we are going to be diving into Child's Play 3, which is fun. It's definitely not the best entry, but it is a fun movie. We'll go with that. It's
as a text you sent me earlier, Child's Play 3 is the place to be.
Child's Play 3 is indeed the place to be, and it's to be heard next Sunday here at Spoiler Sleepover. So until next week.
Sleep tight, suckers.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of Spoiler Sleepover. But the fun doesn't stop there. Go follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Spoiler Sleepover. And be sure to check out our website, www.spoilersleepover.com, for more. That would be really fantastic of you. So until next time, sleep tight, suckers.
Spoiler Sleepover is sponsored by Vegan Curious, a one-woman owned and operated bakery that's out of this world.
Vegan Curious offers baked goods so delicious even meat eaters from Mars won't know they are cruelty-free. Vegan Curious is based out of Kitchen Local in Amesbury, Mass.
For all inquiries and information, go to vegancuriouskitchen.com and follow Vegan Curious on Instagram and Facebook.